Surging in the polls, the media seems to be paying more attention to his campaign. Let's bring in our News Watch panel. Rich Lowry is the editor of the National Review, also a Fox News contributor. Alan Colmes is the host of the Alan Colmes Show and a familiar face here at Fox. So is Rick Santorum surging, Rich, because of media attention or in spite of it?
In spite of it. He made this happen on the ground, John. He went to all 99 counties, ran a very traditional Iowa campaign at a time when a lot of the smartest pundits were saying, you don't need to do that traditional work anymore. It's all about the debates and it's all about national advertising. So this surge is a product of hard work and a product also of all the other anti-Romney candidates collapsing around him.
Alan, do you agree that it's hard work? And if so, does it deserve to be rewarded?
Well, it's certainly hard work, and that he visited went to every part of the state. And it's also that the Republicans have speed dated every other Republican, and so there's nobody left except Rick Santorum. But once they get a load of some of the crazy things he said and done, like taking his 2-hour-old baby who died right after childbirth home and played with it for a couple of hours so his other children would know that the child was real. I mean, stuff like that.
That's a cheap shot, Alan.
That's not a cheap shot.
That's crazy.
No, it's not.
Something that's that personal.
No, it's not a cheap shot.
And that is as that personal and hurtful as
losing
a child.
I didn't interrupt you, Rich.
And to mock it, like that is really beyond the pale and beneath you. You are mocking him. That is
Rich,
beneath you.
First of all, I didn't interrupt you, but I'm not mocking him.
I'm interrupting you because what you're saying is contemptible.
Let me know when you're done.
Well, you want me to keep going?
Let me know when you're done.
They lost a child, Alan. That's very serious, and it's not something you should be mocking on national TV.
I'm not mocking the losing of the child, but what I'm saying is I think it shows a certain unusual attitude toward taking a 2-hour baby home who died
you might think that's a legitimate issue to bring up against him and to mock him about, but I can guarantee you Republican voters aren't going to think that.
Let me know when I can speak, okay?
Go ahead. If you want to continue to mock that, go ahead, Alan.
I'm not mocking it. I think it shows...
Yes, you are. You're saying it's going to hurt him
among
the Republican electorate?
Go ahead.
He lost a child.
If you want me to be in the segment, let me speak.
To deal with that loss? Come on.
Let's move on to something that Mike Murphy said. He is a Republican strategist who was on Meet the Press over the weekend. Here's what he said about the attention that Rick Santorum can expect to get now from the media.
It's the media. The media works like the Jurassic Park dinosaurs. 30 feet tall, huge teeth, with all due respect, not always the biggest brain, and it follows movement. And when it sees movement, Rick Santorum, it stomps over there and tries to eat Rick Santorum.
What do you think about that, Alan?
Well, I'd like to go back to finish what I wanted to say in the other segment that I was not allowed to finish. I do think it shows a lack of judgment. I think it shows a certain, behavior which is questionable. And I think it's something people do think about and consider when they're looking at a candidate. He has said a lot of other crazy things, like consensual sex in the home will lead to other bizarre behavior. We shouldn't have consensual sex in the home. I mean, once the media really needs to focus on some of the things he has said and done, and once they do, he is so far outside the mainstream that he can't be taken seriously as a candidate.
Well, first of all, I even think some of the dastardly characters we have in the mainstream media are not going to go as low as you just have, Alan, and make fun of that incident. Two, Rick Santorum has very traditional Catholic attitudes towards sexual morality. And yes, Manhattan liberals, that will strike them as bizarre and threatening. A lot of Republican primary voters, it's not. So I think the media tsunami that we'll see against Rick Santorum on these sort of issues is not going to hurt him in the Republican nomination
What he actually said was if the Supreme Court says you can right to have consensual sex within your home, then you have the right to bigamy, you have the right to polygamy, you have the right to incest. He is actually comparing consensual sex between two adults in the home and the right to do so by the Supreme Court to incest, bigamy, and polygamy.
No, actually,
that's so far outside the mainstream, it's crazy.
He went back and said that's not what he was doing. The point he was making, is that even a liberal like you will make judgments about sexual morality when it involves things like bigamy and
I'm giving you a direct quote,
maybe you don't. Maybe you don't, Alan, for all I know. Maybe all you do is condemn people for marking the loss of their children in a way you disapprove of.
Well,
but I think you probably make judgments about those kind of matters, sexual matters, when it involves
I don't judge other people's
consensual
sexual matters. It's not my job to do that.
All right. The issue, though, is it because the fact that so many of these Republican challengers,